Hey, so you're there. Hello, beautiful people and crazy kids of the internet world. I am back with a video to follow up on what I did earlier about the indicators that I was using. So I want to go pretty much from the beginning with a blank chart, add the indicators and show you the settings and for you to try them out. Just test them. You don't have to do anything crazy with them. Um, and it also obviously depends on your TradingView account. I think with the free account, you only get 3 indicators. So you might have to sacrifice one of the indicators, possibly 2 of the indicators, in order to have all of these on your chart on TradingView. So it's down to you. But let's go through it and let's see what happens. So let's have a look. See, sorry, give me a second. Share screen. There. Okay, so hopefully you can see that this is the pound Australian dollar on the 5-minute time frame. These are just the colors that I have for the candles, just because I read somewhere or saw somewhere that changing the colors of the candles can help with your psychology of trading. So normally the default is the green and red candles, and green is good for green for go and red for stop, and red danger and all that sort of thing. And if you have the standard default green and red candles, sometimes when the bearish candles are red and you're thinking, oh my god, everything's going against me, whereas if you have them a different color, then it doesn't affect your mind quite as much. At least that was the intention, and it certainly worked for me. I'm a lot calmer, but then also one of the indicators on this will change the color of the bars or candles as well. So let's get into setting up the indicators and what the settings are to use and all that sort of thing. So the first one I'm going to add to the chart is something called SSL hybrid. So it's by this guy here. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. MIH, is that H or an N? Oh, new glasses and I still can't read. So this one here, SSL hybrid, as you can see, is quite a few people have favorited it. So I have. So that's that. So we're going to add that to the chart, and it. Okay, of course I've already changed all the default settings on it, but normally it will come up with that. I think everything will be ticked as standard on here. All of this stuff, and in fact, these will be the blue and pink as well. So just to show you, that's how it normally comes up, and also you will need to change on the inputs tab. The SSL1 baseline, I think, is HMA initially when you first load it. So you need to just click on the drop down, choose EMA, and this is normally the baseline length is normally at 60. Just change that to 30. So just go through the style and untick everything apart from MA baseline, and then you can change that to whatever colors you want. Bar color I have changed to my orange and white that I use for my ordinary candles, and then just untick everything else. So it should look like that. So we've basically got a color for bullish moves, and so that's green, obviously, and red for bearish moves. So you can see when price is above that, just stick with it. And as you might be able to see from here, you've got these bullish candles here in orange, and then you've got a couple here. There's one there, there's one there, another one there, a little cluster of them there. They've got the white border and the white wick. So those are actually bearish candles, but the body of the color has stayed body of the color. Oh my word. Body of the candle has actually stayed orange because whilst it's a bearish candle, it's still in this upward move. So it kind of, I did mention it briefly in the previous video, that it's not really going to turn white until it is, or in my case white, until it is a proper candle affecting this line here. So where we've got the candles moving upwards and some distance between them and this currently green line, then you know you can just stay in that trade and stay in it and stay in it and stay and just ride that all the way up. So so that's that part. So that's just the SSL hybrid. So when price moves above that, then you can take that as a buy. But there's going to be another couple of indicators which I did show yesterday, and again I'm going to show you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 indicators. So it's down to you whether you can add all of those to your TradingView chart depending on your account. So there's that one. There's the SSL hybrid. The next one we're going to add is, I'm just going to go with the standard stochastic. I know I did say about the multi-time frame stochastic before. So that is just for the 5-minute time frame. So you can see when you get the crossover at the top, so green above red is buying, and then red above green is selling. Now, obviously in this situation here, you can see that we had this crossover here. It pushed up, little bit of a wobble there, and then continued pushing up. And then here, it's up in the extreme, you know, just at this point here. But price didn't start coming down, and you can see that the stochastic just, okay, thank you very much. The stochastic just snaked along the top there throughout that move up to that point there. And then obviously you can see that the stochastic has also started pushing down. But let's throw on another couple of indicators just to help with you know, knowing when to get out of the trade or when to not get out of the trade. You know, sit in with, stick with it. You know what I mean. So the next one we're going to add is the TMA, which stands for the moving average. Great channel on YouTube. And then there's this indicator here. There's actually two: TMA divergence indicator by RTFXC, and then an additional one, TMA divergence indicator. This one, well, for both of them, pretty much do the same thing. This one is just a little more basic in the information that it delivers. So I'm actually using this one now, which is TMA divergence indicator by Phoenix Binary. So when you click on that, it comes up with this: confirm inputs, please agree to add to the chart. And as a kind of disclaimer things, you just need to tick that box there, click apply, and then you get this indicator added to your chart. So the problem is, obviously, if you start adding loads of indicators in the bottom section, that squishes the price chart up. But to be honest, we're just looking at the 5-minute time frame, so it doesn't matter too much. So on this, I don't know if I need to change these settings. Yes, I do. So on this, what we're looking at is the oscillator selection is default as RSI divergence, but you do have options there for smooth divergence and momentum divergence as well. You have floating 50, and then the oscillator line width, which is this green / orange / yellow / red. So it's a color changing oscillator line. So the width of that is at 3, and the 50 line width is at 2. So you can see that you've got the color changing one that's moves more, and then you've got this what's termed as the floating 50 line in white, which still moves, but not as much. And you're looking for when these lines cross. You then got you know, an upper extreme and a lower extreme and a midline, mid-level point here. But what I've actually done is changed these settings on here. Everything else stays the same. I've changed that to 25 and 50 to 12. And I've also actually changed the widths of these from 3 to 2 and from 2 to 1. And then hopefully you can see why in a moment. So with this indicator, you also get these little arrows that give you sort of a red arrow for it's crossing the floating line there, and the green arrow, sorry, it's crossing down below, and then it's green arrow for crossing up above. So for example, I mean, looking at this point here, fairly hefty move down. You can see that at this point back here, there was a red triangle. So we're getting the cross of the stochastic happening here, red above green, up in the top there, and looking for price to start coming down. But as we saw with this bit back here, it doesn't necessarily mean just because it's crossed that it's going to start, price is going to start coming down, as that certainly proved the price continued pushing up. So for this point here, we're looking at that area there. So that's kind of your first alert, as it were, that we're getting the red cross over the green, so it's above, and then we've got this red triangle up here at the top here, and it is a triangle even though it looks quite small at the moment. Maybe if I extend it out a bit, you might see a bit clearer. And then you're looking for this line to cross below the floating line. So here you can see that it came down and then pushed up above. Sorry, not up above, it pushed back up towards and then sort of rejected off that and started coming down. Now that point there, you've got this red triangle there. So that is on this candle here, which at the moment is grey because it's within close proximity of this line here on the SSL hybrid, but it hadn't actually crossed below. So this one here as well, you can see is grey, and the line itself had changed from green to grey because it was approaching it rather closely, but it hadn't crossed below. Hadn't crossed below. At this point here is when it crossed below the SSL hybrid moving average there, and then you started to see the sell. So you can see at that point there is, if I leave the cursor in place but try and, you can see that actually at that point there it crossed below the midline on the RSI divergence indicator, and then there was a fairly hefty drop. How many pips was that? So from that point down, that was about 70 pips in that one drop there, and this is the 5-minute time frame, don't forget. So that's that point. So what you're then looking for is, when you're looking for an opportunity to buy, thank you, when you're looking for an opportunity to buy, yes, you're going to be looking for the stochastic to cross again, so green above red. At this point, I wouldn't have taken the entry there because this indicator is still below the floating and below the 50, or the, let's say 50, the midline. So really, we're looking for an ideal point like here. So where the divergence indicator is crossing the floating line there, and yes, okay, it's still below the 50, but it's not that far off it, and you can see that actually it's pushed up, so that would have been a good place to get in there. So that's that one. So you literally just looking, so, and actually just to, if you think of this as in two sections, the top half and the bottom half, everything that's going on in the top half should primarily be buying activity, and everything in the bottom half should be primarily selling activity. So as you can see from that point there, around that sort of area, that the majority of movement there is, thank you, is above, in the top half, and then you've got some decent moves happening in that area. Yes, you've got buys and sells going on, but certainly with that area there, you can see that that is mainly all above the mid-level, so all in the top section. So you also got the indicators like these divergences. So you've got a bear divergence from that point there to that point there. So that's saying that there will be some bearish moves potentially coming. Here you've got a hidden bull, which means that at that point there's going to be some bullish moves, so pushing up. Here there's a hidden bull again. There's a hidden bull. So you can see where these hidden bulls arrive. You can see the price is pushed up. Hidden bull, price is pushed up. So it's quite a handy indicator to have on your chart as well, but as a secondary confirmation to what you're looking at already. So you're looking at price being above this SSL hybrid moving average. For the line to be green, you're looking for the stochastic to have the green above the red, and this is just the standard stochastic. Yes, you can try and I did find one yesterday for a multi-time frame stochastic, but actually having thought about it, it doesn't really matter too much because you're just concentrating on the 5-minute time frame. Well, the way I trade and the way that a lot of the people that follow me trade. I mean, I know I did say that I've been doing a lot of this sort of longer term stuff on the 4-hour, and you may look at this and go, oh my god, what's going on here? This is just basically an indicator for order blocks. But the majority of my stuff when I'm scalping is normally just on the 5-minute time frame. So where do we get to? So yeah, so we're looking for price to be above this green line, the green to have crossed above the red on the stochastic, and for the divergence oscillator to be crossing above the floating moving average on that. So now let's add the third indicator. So we're looking for AK MACD BB indicator version 1. That's by Algo Kid here, and again, decent number of favorited. So a decent number of people have favorited this moving average MACD, moving average convergence divergence indicator. So we're going to add that to the chart as well, and by default it comes up like this. So all you need to do is just jump onto the settings, leave the defaults as they are, 10, 1, 12, 26 and 9, but I take off the upper band, the lower band, leave the plot in place, I'll leave the zero line in place, and I'll take off the fill, and the zero line I just reduce in opacity to about 50%, and I turn that into circles just so it's a dotted line rather than just a solid function there. So we're looking for this again is very similar to the RSI divergence and possibly even the stochastic there as well, where in fact you can change the stochastic so that the middle level is a little bit clearer on that as well. Let's put that up to about 75, but let's do 80 for now rather than wasting time. I'll do 79. Made no difference at all. Never mind. Do mind. That. Okay. So when you see the way that the halfway point, the mid-level, the 50 line, plays a role in both the stochastic, the RSI, and the MACD. So these three indicators plus this SSL hybrid, we're looking for opportunities to get in for buys and sells. So here we've had the stochastic cross above green above red, but the line is still red at the top here. Then we're looking for the RSI, the RSI oscillator to cross above the floating line, and ideally to cross above the 50 level. So at that point hasn't happened yet. The line is still red / grey, it hasn't turned green. And then we're looking for the MACD to go from red to green. So actually in this particular example, let's move that way a bit because the arrow's on the way. This particular example, the MACD had changed green there, but it didn't cross the midline until that point there. So we're looking at this candle here for our opportunity for buys. So even though we had that cross over the RSI oscillator crossing above the floating line there, we're really looking at that point there where it's crossed above, this line is green, and then we can see that we would have got a fairly decent, if you waited for that to close and pushed all the way up there, that's 66 pips. So not a bad move there. So that's those three indicators plus that one is the fourth. So could you do it with without, you know, if you want the free version, you could only use 3 indicators. Could you lose one of these? Yes, you could, and I would probably venture towards losing the stochastic on this setup, because you've already got the indication of this green / red line here. So when prices cross below there, stochastic's already down there, but your important stuff is here. So you're really looking at the RSI divergence and the MACD. So you can see where it's crossed there. It was on that candle there that it's crossed. You had the little red triangle at the top there, so that was on this candle here. But the next candle was the one that crossed below, and then you see that just before that you've also got the RSI oscillators moved below the, well, actually moved back here below the floating line, but it's also changed to orange, then red, and then they've gone below the mid-level on there, about that sort of point there, and at the same time the MACD has crossed below the mid-level on there. So you'd be looking at that candle there, on that candle close, getting for a sell, and what would you have done there? So a bit to look at the top of that one. Was approaching, that's 95 down to the bottom there, if you could hold it. And you know, some people would, some people wouldn't. I know I certainly used to not necessarily hold the trades for as long as possible, but with this indicator, even though you've had some bullish candles here, the body has stayed white, so you've got this red line staying red, the body staying white, so that kind of gives you additional confirmation to stay in your sell position. Easy for you to say. So yeah, that's kind of what you're looking for. So in this case, I would lose that and just have those 3 indicators. And of course, I've got this my own indicator, the trend fill on here, which if I chuck that on, that just gives you the pretty much a 200 moving average. I think it's actually 100 smoothed moving average on the where I've set the indicator up, and also on there I've got tied in these buy and sell. Excuse me, boring myself. buy and sell alerts. Now, if you wanted to add these buy and sell alerts as well, easy way to do that is go on to indicators and look for UT bot alerts by Quant Nomad. So just chuck those on, and then I don't think you need to change anything on there. Buy sell. Well, this also, you could change bar colors on that as well. I won't bother with that because I've already got the bars changed on the SSL indicator. So yeah, nothing else needed to change on that. You can change the sensitivity. I mean, it looks like this is on 1 at the moment. You can change it to 2, which, you get less less alerts, as it were, less signals. But in the main, they're pretty good. You've got a sell there. Yes, you would have hit some drawdown, but it did actually sell. You've got a buy there, decent move. Got a sell there. That would have been a decent move. So if you wanted to add that as well, but then you're now looking at least a minimum of 4 alerts on that. So that's your choice. But those are the 3 indicators that I'm using when scalping, and actually working for longer term or higher time frame stuff as well. So I hope that helps, because I know I've had a lot of people mocking in the past about crossing of moving averages and things like that, and to look at price action. And yes, there's the higher highs, lower lows, and all that sort of thing. But for those of you who are not necessarily that confident in your trading, or not necessarily don't have a lot of time available, and these indicators are there for a reason. They're there to help you with your trading, and they're just an indication to support what you think might be happening. I mean, obviously, the previous video we were talking about that big push up yesterday, with taking decent numbers of pips, and these moves here, you can take decent numbers of pips as well. I mean, I'm not even sure what's that, 935. So I haven't actually traded today at all, but some good opportunities there if you just went with that buy signal, because you can set alerts on that as well. You're looking at, okay, on that buy alert there, you've got this bear signal appearing there. So maybe go, well, okay, I'll take it. Okay, now I've got that bear, I'll maybe think about closing that. How many pips would that be? So if you so that's coming on this candle here. So actually that wouldn't have been a huge amount there, but still 30 pips. Doesn't look like it, I know, but just those 2 candles there, if you got in the top of this one, so this, wait for that that candle to close, get in the top of that, then that's 30 pips. But if you were still confident it was going up, which in theory you could have been, because this stayed green, it may have been a little bit grey there, stick with it. You've got this, yes, you've got the crosses of the RSI oscillator below the floating, but it's still above the midline. You've got the MACD changing from green to red there, but still above the midline. So maybe you would have thought, well, actually, it hasn't crossed below this line yet, I'll stick with it, and you could have taken even more from it. Or you might go to the level of, well, I haven't had a sell alert yet. Some people will go, well, I'll take the buy, I'll wait till I get a sell alert till I close the trade. That's how some people operate. I mean, if you looked at that one there, went for the sell, I said, okay, let's jump in at the close of that candle there, and you're looking at, what's that, 100, let's say 110 pips. I know that it's gone a little bit further than that. 110 pips. But would you have actually got in on that candle? Would you have waited for, rather than just basing it blindly on the sell indication there, would you look at everything else that's going on? So we've got the it's a decent engulfing candle there, getting at the close of that, but it's still above this level here. And okay, yes, it was turning red or grey, then red. And yes, if you got in there, you would have still got a little bit of drawdown, but not too much by the look of it. It's 110. Okay. So if we went from there up about 9, even if we were generous and went to 10 pips, yeah, just about safe with 10 pips of drawdown on that. I know it didn't reach 10, I think it was 8/9 pips. But to get 110 pips down, and looks like it might still be pushing down, it's not a bad result. So that's almost 1 to 10, really, isn't it? So I feel I'm waffling again. I'm always waffling. So you can mess around with the sensitivity on the YouTube bot alert. So you change that back to 1. You're going to get more appear on there, but actually is 2 sufficient? So you get some decent alerts in decent positions. Let's just delete that now. And then you could just look at levels of support and resistance. If you're looking left, you can see back here. Actually, that might have been a good area from this sort of area here to push down. So yeah, there's lots to consider. But if you're just looking to quick glance, what colour is this line? Green or red? Green. Okay, fine. Looking for buys. What have we got here? We've got opportunities. Yeah, excellent. That's crossed above. It's green. That's pushing up a bit. It's all above the 50 line. All's going on here. You get the MACD's green. So we've got almost 1, 2, 3 saying, yeah, that's buy. And that's with just those 3 indicators. What have we got going on here? Oh, that's turned red. Price is below it. That's red and below the floating, and now going below the mid-level. That's red and going below the 50. Brilliant. Let's go for it. And I've just realized all that time I was talking that if I'd got up earlier today, I could have had some fun with that. But that's life. You don't have to take them all. I mean, yesterday was a great day, so don't have to worry about trading all the time. So a lot of people would say, well, it's Friday. What's the point? What's the point in trading? Some people will trade Friday morning. Some people will close out all the positions at lunchtime. Some people will close out everything at the end of the day, no matter what. Some people will leave trades running over the weekend. It depends how you're comfortable with leaving your trades. It depends on what's going on with news. It depends on you. Your journey is going to be different to everyone else's. You're going to see things differently. You're going to, I'm going through this as in this is how I do it. But you might look at this and go, I don't get it at all. I completely don't understand. And I'm not comfortable with that way of trading. And that's absolutely fine. 2, 3, 5 people could look at the chart, the same chart, and see it completely differently. If you were to look all the way back here and think, oh, that's all pushing up, but is it actually reaching a peak and then going to start coming down, or is it just having a retracement and going to push up further still? With everything, all the news at the moment with regards to the pound, it's been a bit doom and gloom recently. So this strong push up could be fairly short-lived, depending on what happens in the coming week. So I'll stop waffling. I'll stop screen sharing. I hope that was of help. I hope it was of benefit. So it's the 3 main indicators there were the SSL hybrid, the TMA RSI divergence by Phoenix binary, and the AK MACD BB indicator version 1. So add those to your chart, pause the video or rewind the video to look at the settings, and then hopefully those will help you with the trades that you're taking. Let me know how you get on. Obviously, just demo it first. Don't go straight into live trading with these and say, right, that's it. I'm just trading live and this is going to be the holy grail, because it's not. And you will still lose trades, and there will be setups that you're going to come across and go, oh my word, why did I take that trade? Because I didn't have all 3 indicators showing me that it was a buy or a sell or whatever. Sometimes you're just taking a bit of a gamble, so don't do that. But just paper trade, demo trade it for a bit first until you're confident with all the bits that you're looking at, and then if you feel like it, dip your toe into some live trading and give it a go. Right, that's me done. I shall catch you on the next one, whenever that will be. Ta-ta for now.